Alright, hey guys, and welcome to episode 5 of Player 2 Reviews, where today I'm going to be doing something a little different and doing a versus review where I take two games from a series, compare them together, and determine which one I think is ultimately the best. Now to start it off, I'm going to be doing two games that are fairly well known in the gaming world, and that is Megaman 2 and 3. Now both are very amazing games, but oftentimes gamers choose one over the other, and I plan to figure out which one of those groups is ultimately right. Just so you know, there will be some spoilers, as much as you can spoil a Mega Man game. And other than that, let's take a look. With the huge success of Mega Man 2 in 1988, it was no surprise that Capcom would be releasing another one. And only 2 years later we received Mega Man 3. Both are held in the highest regard, but oftentimes you will find that most prefer one to the other. And today we will hopefully be able to delve deep into the matter and figure out which side is right once and for all. Now, normally when comparing two games together, it would take some time to cover the differences in storyline. However, with these two games, as well as with most of the original Mega Man series in general, the concept is essentially the same. It comes down to sometime in the future... wait a minute. So anyway, there are two doctors who work together and created some amazing robots, Dr. Light and Dr. Wily. However, Dr. Wily has different views than Light and creates 8 evil robot masters through some sort of guise, and it's up to Mega Man to destroy them and return peace to the land. Both games come with the option of choosing your own path to progress through the game, and each contains several Wily stages after defeating the 8 robot masters. But, as I've said in the past, the storyline isn't really what you're here for, it's the gameplay, and that's where these two really stand out. Both games are side-scrolling platformers with a rock-paper-scissors mechanic. When you defeat a robot master, you acquire his power, and you are then able to use it against another master, which may or may not have a weakness to it. It is discovering these weaknesses that is both entertaining and essential to mastering these games. Throughout both of the games are a number of restoration items in the form of energy pellets. The blinking yellow ones restore your health, and the blue ones are there to restore your special weapons ammo. There are also E-tanks in the game, which allow you to refill your health bar in a pinch. Alright, now that we've covered the basics between the two, let's talk about the one difference where the line seems to be drawn for who prefers 2 or 3. And it all comes down to one move, the slide. It's amazing how this one little mechanic can make such a huge difference, and will eventually become a staple in future installments. It is the argument that since the first two didn't have it, people claim that this was the end of the real Mega Man series. And apparently Capcom took notice as they, interestingly enough, removed this move from the latest 2 installments, 9 and 10. The speed of the slide allows players the ability to dodge certain attacks a lot easier than in the second game, but it does not detract from the difficulty at all, but does allow for some pretty epic moves. And the introduction to smaller spaces that only a sliding Mega Man can fit into brings a whole new element of strategy in obtaining harder to reach items that constantly have the player weighing their options about whether or not to try and reach that E-tank or not. And other than that, the only other change is really more of a cosmetic thing than anything else, and that is Mega Man's sidekick Rush. Mega Man 2 did have 3 abilities that allowed Mega Man to get around a little easier. 3 also has a similar concept, except they all come in the form of his dog-like friend Rush, which is just another nice addition that wasn't really necessary, but welcomed nonetheless. And now onto the music. And my god, the music is good. Mega Man set a new standard for not only 8-bit video game music, but for video game music in general, and still holds up even today. Just for a reference to each game, here is an example of Flashman's stage in Mega Man 2 and Top Man's stage from Mega Man 3. Yeah, that really takes you back, and always gets your blood pumping when you're playing. I could listen to the soundtracks from both games any day, not to mention the thousands of amazing remixes and guitar renditions you can find online as well. In fact, an incredible band known as the Proto-Men, whose name is derived from Proto-Man, Megaman's brother, not only based their name on the series, but also dedicated entire albums and songs based around the events and characters in the Mega Man universe. If you haven't heard these guys yet, I certainly recommend giving them a shot. On top of the great soundtracks, you also have a huge assortment of crisp, clear sound effects that always hit their mark. Everything is rewarding. Even that annoying sound of refilling your energy bar has a satisfying feel to it. And you'll know what I mean when you are playing, and you can actually start to feel the difference between picking up those little pellets compared to the big ones. That little extra sound effect really has an effect on you. And it's the same when landing hits on and destroying the robot masters. Very satisfying. As for the graphics in the game, there isn't that much difference between the two. Both are colored in nicely, and nothing beyond maybe some more detailed backgrounds are very different. Although I do prefer the opening screen for Mega Man 2 over 3. That hair blowing in the wind is pretty epic. One big difference, however, that isn't actually game related is the box cover art. 2 was still holding on to that horrible human actor look, and 3 was the beginning transition into the cartoon look, which was more commonplace in Japan and how we picture him today. Can you imagine if they hadn't switched? I wonder what that box art would look like today. Scary. Alright, now just to be clear, both games are absolutely incredible feats in gaming, and both deserve your praise and money. If you haven't played them yet, you should, in whatever form is most available to you, because you are really doing yourself a disservice by not experiencing them for yourself. Both have great music and gameplay, so really figuring out which is better will require a back-to-back playthrough of both. And we all know the best way to do that. It's montage time. Proto-Men style, here we go.
You won't be able to breathe. So either way you look at
Alright guys, after having just completed both games back to back, I've come to my decision. Now just basing this on overall gameplay, graphics, and music, both are extremely close in rating. However, I do have to go with one, and I'm going to go with Mega Man 3. Mega Man 3 I found was just a little more immersive than 2. They threw in some bosses from the previous games, they added Rush, Mega Man's sidekick, as well as Mega Man's brother Proto Man. It simply becomes a no-brainer for me. However, if I were basing my decision on which had a greater impact on gaming in general, then I would have to go with Mega Man 2. But when you take that away, along with nostalgia, Mega Man 3 takes the cake for me. Also, I have to admit, I just love the slide. But this is just one gamer's opinion. I encourage you to try them both out and make a judgment for yourself. You'll be glad you did. Alright guys, I just want to say thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed my new Versus project, as I plan to make some more sometime in the future. Feel free to comment below, and if you have any games you may like to see covered, feel free to mention them as well. Once again, if you liked the video, please feel free to subscribe, and be sure to check back soon for some more gaming coverage. This has been a Player 2 review, and we'll see you next time.